I'd like to talk about how we keep healthy boundaries with our clients. And I'm genuinely interested to hear about your experiences in the comments below, and if you have any advice based on what you've learned. So, when you start to serve clients, especially those of us who are soulpreneurs, we are more heart-based in the way that we approach our business. So naturally, we care a lot about our clients, and that care can start to seep into this feeling of friendship naturally, just human relationship. And so the question then becomes, at what point is this person a friend versus a client? And again, I think this is a tricky topic, and it depends also, of course, on each relationship and each personality. So I do welcome your comments below if you want to pause now and add any thoughts you have about this below before I share my thoughts. I very much welcome it, or you can hear what I'm about to say here and see if you agree or disagree with it. So I mean, I've been serving clients one-on-one since 2009 in this business. And I do try to be more clear rather than muddy about client versus friend, or rather client time versus friend time. Okay. And also, I, anyway, I'll talk about pursuing friendships after this, but let me just talk about client time versus friend time. So, when someone hires me to be their one-on-one service provider, their coach in this case, um, and the session time that I have with them, I want to deliver the best service that I can, that I'm most qualified to deliver. So two things happen here. One is I have to be aware of the quantity of time I'm serving as the coach, and also the quality or the topic of the discussion. So let me explain. Um, if during my client coaching time, they start wanting to talk about personal things, right? Then, I don't know that I'm qualified to really help them in those areas, and it might turn out to be bad advice I give or just inappropriate because I don't know them. If I don't know them that well in that side of their life, it just, yeah, and it's like they're paying me to be a listening ear, which is fine, but they could probably pay the same amount to a therapist and get even better results or get better presence for that kind of topic, right? And so I just kind of gently steer them back, say, you know what, that's really that's a tough situation, or or that sounds like something you really should talk with talk with a counselor or therapist about, because they'll probably provide you better guidance and processing and things like that. And let's steer ourselves back to what I can best help you with, which in this session, in this format, which is you're growing your business, doing your marketing authentically, optimizing your productivity so it's more joyful, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so that's how I try to steer. And then in terms of time, client time versus friend time, if I pursue one of my clients to be a friend, you know? And I actually do believe that that's the more appropriate direction. Um, I'm not saying that you should never pursue your coaches and your service providers as friends. Sometimes it works out that way, but it can feel like you're muddying the relationship because you're like, well, is this person, my client, pursuing me to be a friend because they want some additional free advice that I provide to them? You know what I mean? It's a little bit strange. Whereas when the coach or service provider provide not chases, but pursues or initiates more a friendly contact, friendship contact with the client, then it's like, well, if I as the coach end up doing some business coaching during friend time, then that's on me, kind of thing, right? So, but yeah, that's exactly what happens. Is like during friend time with somebody, if we start talking a lot about um, business, or we start kind of spending more time talking about business, where I I really have to like focus my energy and like give energy, and they're taking my energy and my ideas. And it starts to feel to me to some sense of boundary crossing, which to me in my body mind system, there's some sense of resentment that starts to creep up. Like, we really should be doing this during client time because I want to relax and have fun with you and be friendly and connect in that kind of friendly way rather than, all right, here I am as a coach and I'm, responsible for giving you good advice kind of thing. If I start to feel that boundary being crossed, I will also gently say, hey, listen, let's talk about this stuff during our coach client time. And right now, let's change the subject. Let's talk about something else. How's it going with your blah blah blah? You might change the subject to something on a more personal level. So so that's client time versus friend time. Let's now also talk about um, uh, the kinds of stuff we reveal in our content and in our client calls, right? Like if in my content I talk a lot about personal things, it's more reasonable for my audience to say, wow, George feels like a friend because he's revealing these personal, intimate details. And it's more reasonable for my audience to reach out to me to become a friend, that kind of thing. And so just be aware of that. That's it, the more you reveal personally, the more you talk about your day-to-day life, the more you have become like a friend to your audience and to your clients too, who might be viewing your videos, reading your content, etc. And I'm just naturally a more private person, so I tend to not talk much about my day-to-day life and my private details. Um, and in my client calls, I have to be a little bit aware of that because the more I reveal intimate details in a client call, the more it kind of signals friendship at that point, a closer relationship, right? So just to be aware of that, I think is wise. And then the third point I want to make is about special deals and exceptions to our selling. The more friendly the more someone feels like a friend to you, the more you feel the natural pressure to cut them special deals when you're selling something. Like if I'm selling a course, I go, oh, you're a friend, I'll just give you the course for free kind of thing. Like it feels weird to be charging my friends, right? And sometimes I'm like thinking on the other side, like, wait a second, friends should be paying more. Like as a friend who is a friend of a small business owner, wouldn't you say, well, at least I should pay the same amount as everybody else rather than, cheating you out of your some of your revenue. Of course there's also kind of some power dynamics at play. Like if I'm wealthier than my friend, then of course it's like, well, it's like you need the money more than me, so I'll give you this course for free kind of thing, or vice versa, right? So that's why it's tricky when there's friends, and I try to basically the way I've said to myself is basically any exceptions I make is going to be a conscious exception rather than, oh, when I'm going to sell something, I'm going to make sure any of my clients feel like friends. I'm going to make sure I give them a good deal or something like that. It's just, I've kept it simple in my business where it's like, all right, if I sell something, I'm just going to assume even my friends, clients who feel like friends, they're just going to pay the same amount as everybody else. And if I see them pay something, and if I notice that, then I might go, hey, listen, I'm going to give you a special thing or something. If I decide to, I try to keep it simple and not go there if possible because it just complicates my life and also complicates that relationship a little bit. It's like if they see me sell something and they want to buy it, they buy it. That's simple as that. And then when we have friend time, we have friend time. As simple as that. And at some point I may decide to give them something from my business, but that is additional kind of friend consideration that shouldn't be built into my business model of saying, well, every time I sell something, I'm going to make sure I look around and give things to my friends kind of thing. So keep it simple, have a clear boundary of client time, friend time. And during friend time, if I decide to do something special, I'll do that. But that's friend time. And but let me, I guess, start to conclude this video, first of all, by asking, what do you think about all this thus far? What parts of it do you agree with that sits well with you? What parts of it do you disagree with? And it's okay for us to disagree. I'd love to hear your opinion about things. what seems right based on your personality and your values. And then the last thing I'd love to just talk briefly about is, you know, as an adult, how do we look at friendships? This is not the kind of content I typically talk about, but we're we're kind of broaching the subject of friendships, and I just want to spend a minute, a few minutes. I'll see how long this goes, and I am open to your opinion about this as well. But like, as an adult, it's typically harder to make friends compared to when we were kids and we were classmates, that kind of thing. And maybe that's one way of making friends as an adult is to take courses, right? You take courses and you get to know somebody else who is in the course, and you maybe support each other, and then you find out, oh, I really get along well with this person, and then you spend more time with them outside of just supporting each other in the course. I think that's a natural, because you have shared interests at that point. That's pretty clear. Shared goals or shared needs, shared issues that you're working on, that kind of thing. So I think course connections, becoming friends, makes a lot of sense. I always try to um, facilitate friendships in my membership communities and my courses. I try to facilitate people connecting with each other, and that's a way of doing that. Personally, for me, I'll just tell you, I have become more and more introverted as I've grown older. And these days, I actually try to have fewer friends, if possible. I'm married, so I feel like I get a lot of my human connection time just in my marriage. But the other thing I tend to do is I look at my colleagues and some of my favorite male colleagues and male clients, and I occasionally form like a men's habits group with a few people that I personally invite, and that feels like to me a like a productive way of being friends with other guys. I do feel like in my own mind body system, it's better not to be so close to female friends, just because respecting my marriage. I know not everyone is like that. Some guys are really good at platonic friendships with those of the gender that they have romantic relationships with. I'm not that way, and so it's good for me to kind of keep a distance with female friends, and I try to be a bit more spend more time with male friends, and to do it in a kind of a useful way, like some kind of mastermind, like a personal mastermind on personal issues, or even business mastermind. Sometimes I might do that with a few male friends without charging them or anything like that. Um, yeah. So anyway, I that's how I look at kind of adult friendships, and I'm curious if you think that's a good idea or if that's sad. And how do you, yeah, I'm just really interested to know how you work with all of this, client versus friend, and particularly client versus friend. How do you navigate those boundaries? And yeah, so looking forward to seeing if you want to add any comments below, and maybe these thoughts have been helpful as you move forward and consider your client relationships. I heard of I had a colleague of mine told me years ago, oh, all of my clients become my friends. And this was a woman, so maybe with female relationships, it's different, right? And there's more intimacy, more easily established, and they become more friendly over time. But I just think, that's good. I'm glad for that person's friendships if they really enjoy having all these friends, and they're able to to navigate those friendships well. That's wonderful. I just think, wow, that's not a great business model though, because like all your clients become friends. Now you feel like you have to just give them all this free friend time instead of now you no longer have those clients. It's like, okay. So that's why I find it helpful to think through these things and to have clear policies for ourselves that are thought through and that are applied with gracefulness. And this is where, if you ever are stuck with knowing how what to say to a client in terms of keeping healthy boundaries, you can use AI, chatbots, ChatGPT, etc., to say, hey, here's the situation. I'd like to keep this as a good, healthy client a relationship, client connection, rather than seep into the friendship element. How do I say that? You could talk to AI about that, and AI has shockingly a greater ability for social appropriateness than humans do. I find in conversations with AI, it's like, wow, it's more socially appropriate than most of the people I talk to anyway. So, anyway, I hope this is helpful. I look forward to seeing if you want to add any comments below. And thank you for joining me on this journey.